Hello and welcome to the Redhead and the Bearded Beauty. I am the Bearded Beauty.
I'm the Redhead.
And we've got a lot going on this week.
We do.
We got a little thing coming up this weekend called the time change.
The time change, daylight saving. What were we just talking about? We only have two more?
Two more. I believe we switched back to standard time.
In the spring?
No, in the fall.
Oh, in the fall, yeah.
And then
Sunday.
we spring forward next spring, and then it stays there.
And then it stays there. We're going to have to come up with a different campaign to remind people to check the batteries in your smoke alarms.
Yes, because every time we change the clock, you change your clock, change your batteries in your smoke alarm.
Yeah, and it's also daylight saving is when we also switch to winter or spring hours for the keeper lighting. It switches to 7:15 our winter hours this coming Sunday.
So what are we going to do?
I don't know. We're going to have to find a set time. Maybe the fall and spring. I don't know.
Why would we just take the date that it's falling on this year and just do that every year? That might be too simple, but...
That's too simple, Tyler. We need to make it complicated.
We do. We need to make it very complicated.
Let's write an ordinance about it.
We should.
Okay.
And research it. Because that's what we do.
That's what we do.
We're government.
That is what
I will
we
give
do.
you a very unpopular take.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
I'm sure a lot of people will not like this statement, but I like having the time change.
Really?
I know a lot of people say no, they don't want it. They just want it to be one time year round. I like the time change because in the summer you get longer daylight hours into the evening. Sun stays up longer. I like that for going out and having parties and stuff. And then during the winter, the sun, if we leave it on, I guess the spring forward, the winter the sun's not going to come up till like 9 a.m.
That's true.
So I don't know. I'd say leave it how it is, and we'll complain 2 weeks out of the year. But
I will agree with you on that. I like when it gets dark earlier a little bit. In the spring, I'll say I like when it stays lighter later. But I'm usually getting ready for bed by 8:30, so I don't feel like such a slug in the winter. I feel like a normal person. So.
And you were telling me, what time do you wake up in the mornings?
I wake up at 4:30.
Yeah, not so much here.
Yeah, no, so. I'm an old lady. And I love waking up at 4:30, and that doesn't happen every single day. That's like my standard is like 5. I try to wake up 30 minutes earlier.
Do you like take a nap before you come into work then? Like you're up so early?
No, I like to read. I journal. I do all of the things. I'm not going to say most days. The goal is to get to the gym and like do all that stuff, but that sometimes doesn't happen. That frequently doesn't happen.
I will say I'm not mad. I'm just jealous. I wish I could be an early morning person like that.
You know what? But I get grumpy if I'm too sleepy when I'm up late. But yeah, once I'm up, I'm up. I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. I don't need caffeine or anything. I'm just up.
Up, good to go.
Yep.
Another thing that happens this time of year, the leaves are falling from the trees.
Leaves are falling from the trees.
And a lot of people like to blow them off of their yards or just rake them out of their yard out into the street. And we do not want you to do that.
Oh, he broke the fourth wall for that. For those of you listening, he looked right into the camera.
Right into the camera
he
for that.
He is serious.
So we have issues when it rains. We have a rain event coming up, I believe tonight. This probably won't be on until tomorrow, but when it rains and we have all these leaves in the street, it washes into the storm drainage and it clogs them up, and then we start having street flooding. So
it's bad enough. It's windy outside. It's going to blow the leaves and they're going to clog the drains. But when you exacerbate that by dumping your yard waste in the gutters or just blowing it off your lawn, like don't do that.
Yeah, I saw somebody doing that earlier today, and I wanted to turn around, but like, no, I won't do it. But yeah. So,
what would you have said to them?
I don't know. That's one of those, like, I just probably do before I think about it, and then I get there and I'm like, hi, have a nice day. By the way, you probably should blow that in the street. But
yeah, don't do that. It's not good.
So anyway, what else we got going on?
All right. So on Forum, we've got a District 6 street project looking at street improvements on Douglas from Seneca to Meridian. Go in on Forum. There's also a really cool survey link. We've had a couple community meetings about that. It's been social in the newsletter, but just getting more and more people to weigh in on stuff like that to help shape our city.
Very good. And I know at the mayor's briefing this morning, we talked about the Wichita Park and Recreation being a finalist for the Gold Medal Award.
For the Gold Medal Award. We had Linda come in. From
the Kansas Parks Association?
Yeah, Kansas Parks Association. So that was really great. Lanterman came in. And so, our parks department worked so hard, and she had some really nice things to say.
Yeah, and that's 2 years in a row now they've been a gold medal finalist. Maybe next year they'll be the gold medal winner.
Maybe next year we should start working on that video now.
We should. They do a video that helps talk about everything they've done, and they're kind of accent their submission, their application. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they do such good things. We're starting to talk about the tree lighting too that they put on. They do such a good job with that. So
that's coming up. When is that?
December. I'm gonna have to look. It's like the second Saturday in December. I like to switch things up. I don't know about you guys.
Used to be like the first weekend in December.
Yeah, and it was a Sunday. We moved it to Saturday. We moved it to NAFSCR. Saturday, December 10th.
Very good.
Around 5 p.m. We'll do Winter Wonderland and the tree lighting and all that stuff.
Now, there was an interesting story about last year with our reindeer, correct?
I believe it was the year before.
Oh, it was the year before.
Yes, it was during COVID.
Okay.
Our reindeer got COVID. So we had...
I forgot about that story, but yeah, continue.
Oh, is there another one?
Yeah. I think you made them mad this last year. Like you were trying to feed one of them, and then they decided they just didn't want to participate.
No, that was the same year.
Okay.
Because it was the ponies. We got O.J. Watson Park ponies with reindeer antlers because the reindeers got COVID, and so we had Toast and I apologize, ponies, if you're listening to this. I don't remember all of your names, but I remember Toast because Toast has been out a couple times as reindeer. So. Yeah, in 2020, I was hoping to get reindeer for the first time, but then the reindeer got COVID. So the park staff were really great, brought the ponies. And I was like, oh, I'm going to bring carrots to entice them and like feed them, because I love animals. And I was really excited. But I underestimated the sassiness of ponies. And after the carrots were gone, they were like, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm done.
Yeah. He just was like, nope, I'm checking out. No, don't care that there's kids out here.
Yeah.
More carrots.
One of the ponies bit the mayor's children. Not a high point when you're trying to get ponies to behave, and then they had to be escorted off stage because they started acting up. So yeah, they didn't make it through the program.
So speaking of animals, our guest is going to be coming with a friend, possibly an animal.
Yes, I'm very excited. We were looking for a guest this week, and I think you were like, hey, what about Todd from the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit? And I jumped at the chance because if we could just talk to Todd and he could just bring animals every single week, that's what I would do.
And we could probably go on and on and on about all the different animals they have there and everything. Learn all about the different animals. So.
And it's just me staring at the animal and like trying not to pet it.
Yeah, I will admit, I can get distracted just sitting there. Like we did a shoot with them once. I think it was for COVID. We were doing like a virtual tour, and you're trying to listen to what he's saying, but I just like the hawk.
Yeah.
I just sit there. He was staring directly at me, and I was kind of get lost and like. I was like, oh yeah, I need to be shooting something.
I need to be doing my job. Yeah. We've gotten some inside look into that exhibit, and it's so cool, and gotten to meet Choppa and Rufus, and yeah. So they're really neat.
So we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring Todd in here and with his friend Rusty. So stick around.
All right, thanks for joining us. We have Todd Volkmann of the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit with us, and with him is Rusty, the red-shouldered hawk. Hi, Rusty. Thank you for bringing him into City Hall today. Security, it's always
They're always a fan of yours.
Yeah, they're always a huge fan, and so I go down there, and they're like, "Who's coming in today?" And I'm like, "A hawk," and they're like, "Okay." But he's been really calm. He traveled really well. He's doing so good.
He loves doing programs like this.
Yeah.
He's been on TV quite a few times.
Oh, I bet.
And he loves schools and events.
Oh, he's so good. I'm a fan of Rusty.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So Todd, why don't you start off? Tell us a little about who you are and what you do for the city.
All right. I am currently the exhibit caretaker at the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit. And if you're not familiar with the wildlife exhibit, it is in Riverside Park. There's been animals there since 1901. It used to be the site of the Wichita Zoo, and I love sharing the history of that place. And we have a feeding time event every day at noon, which is worth checking out. It's the best chance to see as much as possible. Rusty's pretty much on display all the time, but some of the animals, they need that food motivation, so they show up at lunchtime.
Yeah, I'd say going out to the wildlife exhibit is one of my favorite parts of my job when we go out here, because I love it.
A lot of fun, and
it
Rufus doesn't like it when you get close to his food.
He does not.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
Yeah, he almost attacked you. Choppa bit Nolan's camera.
Yeah.
Maybe we can splice in that footage. It's fantastic.
Well, it probably was not the smartest thing. I had my camera, and I was busy looking through the viewfinder, and he was eating some sort of meat you had given him, and I started getting a little bit too close. I was like, oh, that's a great shot. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I hear this, I'm like, okay, well, I understand. We're good.
It's a wild animal.
No pictures, please.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah. How old is Rusty?
Rusty is 21.
21?
Yes.
Wow.
Some of the animals there have pretty long lifespans. Turkey vulture is about 28, but Rusty is one of those ambassadors that can go out to schools and events. Other animals there are injured and they can't be released, and that's just their home.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's really great.
Very good. We like to kick these shows off with a little game called Two Truths and a Lie. So do you have two truths and a lie for us?
I do.
All right.
I am ready. And first one is, nobody has ever listened to my entire KWE program.
I feel like that's a lie.
I had the same lunch today as Pokey the possum.
I believe that.
I have a dead bat in my pocket.
There's a lot. There's a lot there. I feel like people have listened to your whole spiel at KWE.
I think, yes, someone has. So,
yeah.
But, oh, man, some of those are pretty good. So.
Kind of want to see the dead bat.
Yes, I want. If there's a dead bat, I want to see it. So I'm going to say that's your lie. That's the dead bat.
Out comes the dead bat. I'm here for it.
Oh, that is awesome.
That is really cool.
One of our artifacts. So we don't have a live bat, but some of our artifacts we can share with people. It's a good chance to see a bat up close, because
they're so tiny and cute.
Sometimes people encounter bats, like at City Hall.
We've had a couple bats. We had a bat on 13th floor, had a bat outside. I love our bats.
They are incredible. I do like to talk about bats. They're kind of a maligned animal, but they're very important to have around.
Yeah, and they make cute little noises. And our guy here he's such a seasoned pro. He's just like, hey Terry, there's a bat. He comes up,
Yep.
handles the bat. It's pretty amazing.
All right. So what was your lie?
I did not have the same meal as the possum.
Oh.
In fact, I think she ate better than I did today.
What did Pokey eat today?
She usually has some kind of veggie presentation. She had yogurt, a little fruit cup, some smelt, like little sardines, and half a hard-boiled egg.
What did you have for lunch?
I had some almonds and tomatoes.
Okay, yeah. What now? So you said no one's ever listened to your whole presentation.
Yes, I can keep going.
Okay, all right. That's
like, people have things to do. Some people have lasted over an hour, and they're like, I gotta go. This has been fun.
Mm-hmm. That's really awesome.
Yeah, they come back.
Yeah, and get more each time. Every time I'm there, I learn something new.
It's an interesting place.
So if you had to guess, how long do you think you could go on and present for this?
I don't know. I mentioned the history of the place, so you can really start a long ways back and keep going until today. Then you can talk about the animals that are there. Mm-hmm. You can talk about people's experiences with these animals that they might be familiar with. We have artifacts too.
Artifacts?
Yes.
You just opened a second part to the zoo, which people can see artifacts in, and other animals like snakes and arachnids and all sorts of things.
It's not all snakes and spiders, but it's a good introduction to those things. We like to kind of challenge some misconceptions about animals, and snakes and spiders are usually in that category. Mm-hmm. Possums are too, and Pokey has changed a lot of minds about possums. We're very thankful for Pokey.
I love Pokey. I know she's getting a little bit older. She is. They don't live that long, so if you want to go see Pokey, go see her now.
She has been retired from climbing. So
Oh.
climbing used to be a part of her lunch presentation, climbing around looking for bits of food, but
Oh,
the back legs just don't work as well as they used to.
poor Pokey.
Yeah.
I had Sean at the library. I'm calling out Sean. Hated possums. He had a whole bunch in his backyard. And I was like, "You don't even know." And I forced him to go meet Pokey. And since his opinion on possums has changed.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
She's changed a lot of minds.
She's so sweet.
All right, Megan, how about you?
All right, so I did animal themes. Mine are pretty pedestrian, so Todd can't weigh in. But most common animals in Kansas include deer, beavers, and raccoons. Our largest predator, however, is the bear. And we have 400 species of birds, 88 mammals, 55 reptiles, 140 fish, and 30 amphibians. 30 species, I should say.
Say the bear.
You'd say the bear? You are correct.
Yes.
We have no bears in Kansas that are native and live here. So our largest native predators are coyotes, foxes, and bobcats. Mm-hmm.
My neighbor had some baby foxes in her backyard, and so she had to come over. If your girls see any little baby puppies, they can't go out and pet them. So.
See, I would have pet them. That's
Yeah.
my problem, is that I have no boundaries. The internet has taught me that all wild animals are my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I can see that.
Yep.
All right, so I went a little different path. We just announced we're hiring a new police chief, Chief Joe Sullivan, and he is going to be the 48th chief of police for the Wichita Police Department. Chief Tammy Snow is the 14th chief for the Wichita Fire Department, and Robert Layton is the 30th city manager for the city of Wichita.
I don't think he's the 48th chief.
You don't think he's the 48th chief?
No.
Okay. How about you?
I'm going to go with city manager. I feel like there's been some longer term ones.
He is the 24th city
Okay.
manager. So. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. I'm hoping that number, I got that off the Wichita Eagle. I'm hoping that's correct on 48 for police chief. The other two I was able to confirm through our sources. But,
There you go. All right. I like it.
All right.
All right. So tell us a little bit about the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit. What's the mission?
We need a mission statement, but it's really to expose people to animals that are native to Kansas. It has that zoo feeling, and that's kind of confusing when you see enclosures like that. It's not a zoo. It used to be the side of the zoo, but all these animals are native to Kansas. They can't be released for one reason or another. That's something that's brought up usually right away. Birds are injured. Typically, the bobcat is way too used to people to be let go.
Yeah.
Bobcats are usually pretty shy and timid. Rufus is not. He loves people. He's quite the greeter in the morning.
And Rufus started with another bobcat kitten, but they're solitary animals. Is that right?
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah. They in fact that other bobcat is now in Clay Center in a similar environment, and
That's great.
doing well. So
Yeah.
got a picture of it earlier this year.
So what would you say is the most popular animal that everybody comes to see?
It's Rufus.
Rufus.
Yeah.
Definitely Rufus.
He's
Yeah.
playful and
He's so active in the morning. Sometimes people show up in the afternoon. Even on a beautiful afternoon, you're not going to see Rufus unless he's just asleep out in the open. But yeah, according to Facebook and Instagram likes, it's definitely Rufus. We also have a social media presence. You should follow them.
you have the best social media pages.
Thank you.
I aim for those. The one where Rufus caught the squirrel was especially memorable. I loved that one. Were you around when Choppa escaped?
I was at the Nature Center.
That's right.
and
Yeah.
The wildlife exhibit is a kind of a collaboration between the Nature Center and the city of Wichita. So I was familiar with the exhibit then, and yeah, that's a legendary story. Choppa is a legend.
I love that. He's so funny.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with Choppa escaping or possibly being released, it was before we had cameras or a security system, so we're not entirely sure. Choppa spent 4 full days in the Ark River. And the best part of that is that he came back on his own and was literally trying to dig his way back into his enclosure during the night. He had dug a trench along the west side of his enclosure.
I love that.
Let me back into those sweet potatoes,
Yeah.
those carrots,
He wants those
and
sweet
that clean
potatoes.
pond.
Didn't want to hunt for himself. I don't blame him.
They are vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Why did I think they ate fish?
They're in water. But yeah,
Huh.
he loves leaves. He loves sweet potatoes and carrots, and his diet's about ready to change this time of year because he's going to start eating a lot of bark.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know most of the times I go out there during the day, during work hours to get video and that sort of thing. So he's usually asleep at that time. What's the best time of day to go out and see Choppa?
Right before sunset
Yeah.
is when he starts his day. And one of the things we're going to start doing is an evening program. So if you follow us on social media, you'll be aware of that. And probably at least once a week, we'll cater to the evening crowd.
That's awesome.
Very good.
Sometimes Choppa goes on walks, doesn't he?
Walk a Choppa.
Walk a Choppa.
Walk a
Yeah.
Choppa.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I love that.
It is kind of entertaining to watch him walk on land. They are built for the water.
Mm-hmm.
He is just magnificent and majestic in the water. And their back feet are just huge, like clown feet. And yeah, it's fun to watch him walk around.
We were filming in the back part of the wildlife exhibit, and you opened up his little door to his little bed where he sleeps, and he growled. He was a very grumpy beaver.
He is. He's about 10 and a half right now.
How long did beavers live?
They're pretty long-lived for a rodent, and they can make it into their teens. He's
Wow.
starting to show some signs of old age, but he's doing all right.
How do we get our animals that are in the exhibit?
They come from various places. A lot of the birds come from raptor rehabilitators. Milford Nature Center does rehabilitation for the Department of Wildlife, and some of the birds and the bobcat came from Milford. And it's usually one of those sources. Nothing was caught in the wild to be brought there.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I know. What was it with the bobcat, Rufus? He was in an accident, or his mother was in an accident. Can you tell us about that story? I can't remember exactly, but I knew there was something along those lines with his story.
The story Milford got was that he mixed in with farm cats somehow.
Oh, wow.
A lot of
Yeah.
cats. He was at Milford briefly before he came to the exhibit.
Yeah. That's probably not the best place for a bobcat.
They usually stay with their mother for about a year, and they look like adults by the time they leave. So if you ever see a photo or a video of multiple bobcats, it's a mother with her kittens. They are really solitary. But yeah, to have a kitten or a young one by itself, something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I remember, I'd say one of my favorite animals is Chuck, the turkey vulture. I love him. He's a huge personality. I know he goes to grade schools, and he's been doing that almost like his entire life.
Yeah,
Is
he
that
was
right?
less than a year old when he showed up, and he is about 28. So a lot of people have seen him. What's really fun, and one of the things I love about the exhibit is people will come to the exhibit, like with their kids, and talk about, yeah, someone brought this turkey vulture to my elementary school when I was in the third grade. Like, that's the same vulture.
I'm fairly certain he came to my third grade class, and I've convinced myself that he remembers me, which is not true.
He might.
I like to think it, but
We're going to say that it's true, just for you, Megan.
Thank you for indulging me with that. But yeah,
He does
I-
have some facial recognition. He recognizes people that have been in his life.
He's very smart, and he's kind of a diva.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he loves spreading his wings and setting them, and I feel like he knows when the cameras are on him too.
Puts on a show at that point.
He does put on a show every time we're out there.
Yep, very
Yeah,
good.
I love Chuck. Now you had a, a really funny timed post too. You have the bobtails, little quails, and you had posted it's Betty Bobtail.
Bob White.
Bob White, thank you. Bob White's.
Yes.
It's Betty Bob White, and what's her little
We call the males Bob,
Bob? Okay, Betty and Bob White.
and we call the females Betty, so Betty White.
Yeah. You had posted that on your Facebook the day that Betty White died, and it became a tribute to Betty White.
A couple hours before, I really had no clue.
You
and
predicted it.
I was kind of traumatized.
Oh no! Were the quails traumatized?
A little bit. I mean, they're pretty social and colonial, but
That's awesome.
Miss Betty.
Very nice. Now, you had mentioned earlier, have exhibits of snakes and spiders and that sort of thing. When Megan said you were bringing an animal or something here, my first fear was a snake. I will admit I am afraid of snakes. Do not like them. So tell people a little bit more about that and what they can expect to see.
I almost brought a snake.
Yeah.
I love snakes.
I probably would have managed, but I might be scooting over.
I would have held the snake and brought it over to you.
So we warn people if we bring one out. Some people won't even step foot into the room knowing that there's a snake in there, even though it's in an enclosure. So there's strong feelings about it. What's interesting is it seems like children and kids seem much better with snakes nowadays. Usually if there's a really strong reaction, it's someone older, and it's just been ingrained for a long time in various ways. Snakes aren't portrayed well.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of sad, but it's awkward to watch them move. It's fascinating to watch them move. We have what I like to call the introduction snake, or like the gateway snake. It's a little cute hognose. Usually when people see that, they're okay with that. It's a little pushed up nose. It's a good way to introduce snakes to people.
That's awesome.
Maybe I need to come by, because I grew up in western Kansas and we had a lot of rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
So I was always afraid of stepping on one. My brother was bit by one. So that was kind of my knowledge and experience with snakes. So so maybe I need to start somewhere else.
Yeah. And the good news is, especially the city limits, but even in Sedgwick County, we haven't had venomous snakes for many, many decades.
Yeah. It is. We've talked about this. We have a very different upbringing. You worked on a farm and I worked in the city limits. So like I've never been around farm animals, so I have a very different perspective of these types of animals. Whereas I look at cows as giant golden retrievers, and people who work with cows hate them.
I don't hate cows. I never said I hate cows. I just said I don't view them the same way you do.
I saw the hatred of cows in your eyes. Is your arm getting tired? For those just listening.
For those listening, he's been holding this
the entire time.
The whole time.
The whole time.
I'm used to it.
You've built up a hawk muscle.
Yeah, left arm's pretty strong.
Yeah.
If I brought Chuck, that would have been a different story. He doesn't weigh that much. He only weighs like maybe a pound.
Yeah, he doesn't seem scared at all. He's just chilling. He's just good with it.
Now, Rusty, I'll have to describe it. He does have a bad beak. It's about 90 degrees off if you look at the lower part. And you can tell something's off about his left eye. He's also suffered a lot of head trauma. And that happened when he was a fledgling. So even a raptor, when it leaves the nest, they don't always just majestically take off and soar away. A lot of birds spend some time on the ground, and that's every bird. So while he was on the ground, he got attacked supposedly by turkeys.
Oh.
Not sure. He got thumped in the head pretty good.
Did you get thumped?
Yep.
Oh.
And yeah, so we have to work on his beak with a Dremel multiple times a year, and that's how he ended up in captivity, just because, he wouldn't have survived.
Yeah.
He has a hard time even drinking water.
Oh, that makes me so sad for him. What does he eat day to day?
His normal diet is a mouse or a small bird, and also a ball of meat that kind of looks like hamburger, but it's called bird of prey diet that we get from the zoo.
Do you give him live mice or feed
Frozen
mice?
thawed.
Frozen thawed.
Yep.
So with some of these animals that, need a little more care, talk a little about that, and like what extra steps do you have to take? Do you have to like feed him through a little eyedropper or anything like that with water? Or
No. Sometimes that happens, like if something's in quarantine or sick, or we do have to do things like that. He can feed himself. He does struggle to drink just because his lower beak doesn't cup water like it should. So we just have to make sure that his dish is always basically completely full. It is entertaining to watch him drink and take a bath, but that's another popular post that we've had is Rusty in his water dish kind of shaking it off. It's a lot of fun.
I think he knows what camera to look at.
He does. He's looking straight at the camera.
That's you.
Do you see that other giant bird? That's fantastic.
That is awesome. And he's been like just kind of staring that way the entire show. So
Oh, he knows.
yeah.
And there's the red shoulder.
Oh,
Hence the name.
he's really pretty.
He's pretty striking.
So maybe we found our replacement for you on the show.
Yeah, that would be good, actually. I think he's doing better than me. You've also got Odin, the one-eyed owl,
Yes.
and Keeper, the eagle.
Golden eagle, yeah.
Who else?
Those are the main ones, like the ones that we would feed at feeding time. We also have several ducks. You mentioned
right.
the quail. We have a black-crowned night heron. We have 2 red-tailed hawks that they're not that social, but they are. If you go there, you can see them.
you had a love triangle or something with some of the birds this summer. Tell us about that.
The love triangle?
Or it was one of your birds was trying to court another bird that was not appropriate for him.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about Frank.
Frank.
The Franklin's gull has also been there a while and is quite fond of the black-crowned night heron. I think even some of the quail have tried to say hey.
Yeah.
She's not having it.
She's like, no,
Yeah.
you are below my standards.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. She's popular.
That was the look in her eye.
Yeah. But all the other birds are amorous toward her.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Occasionally, life does happen at the exhibit, though.
You have lots of baby turtles.
Yeah, turtles, leave them to do their own thing, and
Yeah.
occasionally we find a little hatchling turtle.
Yeah. And the snapping turtle you have is the biggest snapping turtle I've ever seen. It's
We also
huge.
have a common snapping turtle. We also have an alligator snapping turtle that comes out occasionally.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a big one. The wildlife exhibit used to be, like you said, the zoo, and you had all sorts of animals. You had alligators. There was the lifting of the alligators.
Yep.
Every winter.
It was a party. Yeah, they would have some kind of parade in the fall to bring them in before cold weather. There was an alligator pit, and if you look at the photos, the pit was secured by about a foot brick wall.
Wow.
And over time, that changed.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
By the end, it was basically domed over in wire.
You'd have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Because now I could see somebody just, no, I'm going to jump over there and go try to pet it real quick. And
That would be me.
that
That would
probably
be what I
be
was
you.
doing. Yeah.
I've heard a lot of stories about the alligator pit.
Oh.
It's pretty entertaining. But yeah, people remember that. And they remember the zoo days and when they had lions and
Yeah.
monkeys and things like that.
Didn't we have a herd of deer at one point?
The first animal that was ever there was a white-tailed deer.
Okay. We should get a deer again.
They even had bison.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back when that was really rare, like the early 1900s when
Yeah.
there weren't that many of them. Yeah.
Okay, was it you who was telling me something about a baboon?
Huh. Yes.
Tell us that story.
They had quite a few primates, and speaking with one of the caretakers during the 50s and 60s, shared a story about he would borrow the baboon and drag Douglas.
He would borrow the baboon.
Yep.
Just
Would ride shotgun. He even had he had it basically trained to hit on girls in the car next to him.
That is
He would have it hide, and then he would like give the cue, and the baboon would just jump up and put its like face and hands on the window. And
that's terrifying, actually.
I think it worked from the way he told that story.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I would
who
definitely
wouldn't
go-
want to stop? Hey,
I would-
check that out.
I would go meet
Yeah.
that baboon, but yeah.
He was incredible. He's still visiting. His name's John Wells, and yeah, he's fascinating to listen to.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now Megan is thinking, which one of
Which
these animals can she
can
take
I
cruising
take
Douglas?
Cruising Douglas. That would be amazing. Honestly, there's a reason why I don't volunteer for the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit, and that is because I have no boundaries with animals, because I think they all want to be my best friends. I want to pet that hawk so bad right now. You have no idea how much self-control it's taking me.
A lot of birds don't really like to be pet.
Oh, I know. That's true.
We'll share one quick story. We got some chickens for our daughters to raise, little baby chicks. And my daughter would go out there and just manhandle these things, just pick them up and then put them on her chest and stuff. And she would lay down and put a chick, and it would just sit there. I mean, she has this way with any animal that, nope, they're like, okay, I guess I'm just going to have to take it and sit here and be your friend. So
It's fine.
maybe there's hope.
That's what I want to do with that hawk right now, honestly. 100%. So, yeah. All right, are we ready for...
I think we're ready for dad jokes.
All right. Did you come with a dad joke? It's okay if you don't. Or do you have a bird pun or anything?
Bird puns.
All right. Give me a bird pun.
I'll try my best.
Okay.
I'll try my best.
Oh, God, no.
That got
Yes.
awkward.
Oh. Oh.
That's all I got. Those two.
That was good.
That was very
Honestly,
good.
That was really good.
Well done.
Oof. All right. I had a pun about pigs, but they were kind of boring. Boring. Like a boar. A boar is a type of pig.
That's 2 weeks in a row now.
Okay.
It took me way too long to get
No,
that.
no. I've got another one.
Okay.
Why did Mozart get rid of his chickens?
Why?
Because all they said was bok bok.
Very good, Megan. Very good. Well
Thank you.
done.
Thank you.
All right. You know, most people have heard of Karl Marx, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know about his sister, Anya. She was an Olympic runner, and she was so well known that they even say her name at the beginning of every race.
Okay. All right.
For those of you who didn't get it, on your marks. So, yeah. With that, you want to close it?
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. And thank you, Todd and Rusty, for joining us. I'm going to pet that hawk after we stop filming. If you want to write in, ask any questions, social@wichita.gov. Thank you.